right, and please call Jeff Welt and Daniel Rheaume. These guys are absolute bulldogs. They are the ultimate tackles. And remember, the laws that were passed recently by DeSantis favor the insurance companies, not us. You're seeing what's happening to condos all across the state. They are in a real terrible issue because of that whole deposit stuff. And now the insurance companies, they are dropping people left and right. They have more freedom than ever to drop you and not even accept you. So make sure you have the proper lawyers. You saw the CBS report that they were ripping people off. So make sure, call 954-966-4646 for Welt Rheaume. They've helped many of our listeners already. It's been great. Good morning, sir. How are you doing?
Good morning. Yeah, just getting ready for a Friday of coverage here, and then traveling to Boston tomorrow for Dolphins Patriots.
So, just out of curiosity, because I didn't see like in the press conferences anything about this, what did you find odd at all about the Jaylen Phillips situation?
What did I find odd about what part of it? Just the
what was wrong in it? Was there anything wrong in it?
Well, I mean, frankly, what happened was friendly fire. Jordan Poyer not taking a great angle at a ball carrier, Tony Pallet for the Titans. He crashes into Jaelan Phillips's right knee. Shoulder pad makes contact with the knee, and then what we're told is that's when the ACL injury partial tear occurred, which was the contact portion of it.
You sure?
That's what we're told. That's
How do they know that? How do they know that? Did they take him for an X-ray at that moment, or did they put a brace back on and put him back out?
They don't have an MRI available or anything at the actual game, of course, but that's where and this is, I'm sure, after they've run through tests and watched the videos and determined it. But what doctors have told the Dolphins.
Huh? Let's spitball here, because I slept at a Holiday Inn last night.
Okay, so
yeah, I told.
Now you're able to circumvent the doctors.
I told the wife, fuck it, I need to prepare for the show tomorrow. I'm sleeping at a Holiday Inn. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Do you have points there, or it was all on your dime?
It was on my dime. I'm that focused for the show, so I slept at a Holiday Inn.
All right.
Okay. So he bangs his knee on the back of the shoulder pads, not the shoulder pad, not the helmet that everybody kept repeating. Helmet. And nobody watches the video and actually looks at the video that it was never Jordan Poyer's helmet, because that's when he would have busted his knee. It was the back of the shoulder pads. Okay. So they put a brace on an injury-prone player who repaired the Achilles in the same leg where the knee is right now, having an issue, and he went to go play. And then he had another episode where he, all of a sudden, was really pissed. Something tells me you might have banged your knee the first go around, and then you tore it the second go around. It may be because of the brace. It might have saved you from a complete tear. But see, here's the problem. They can't prove one or the other. There's no way of them showing us before, because they never took an X-ray. They never took an MRI. They don't know what was going on in that ligament exactly. And all you're seeing is a player in the middle of adrenaline, but you're also seeing an injury-prone player in the middle of adrenaline, and you should have made a better decision and said, Jaylen, I'm sorry, we need you. As intoxicating as it might be that we need you, you need to sit down because of who you are and the history that you have. You put a knee pad on a guy who has a history of injury. You don't know what's going on in that knee, but you're just going to put him out there, and now you've got a partial tear. And guess what? You can't prove either one. But I can prove one thing. You're fucking incompetent. I mean, you're fucking incompetent. That's what I can prove, that the Miami Dolphins training staff and coaching staff is incompetent in that situation, because you're talking about an injury-prone player who already has to be you're going to send them back out on a brace to compensate for an injury that already is coming back from another major injury. Please, David, tell me that this makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be a doctor myself, and I also did not stay at a Holiday Inn last night to be able to speak over
But I gave
doctors.
you the problem. I gave you the problem. Now
And I do see it myself too. I've had these same thoughts, questions in my mind. Mike McDaniel and what he gave us wanted to make it clear. It wasn't like we pushed it on him. He wanted to put it out there that it was part of the contact injury, which also could be telling in the other direction too. But wanted to make it clear that it was the contact part that did the damage, that the damage was already done, and then off adrenaline, he was trying to play with the brace on. The brace didn't support sufficiently enough, and then that's when he. Now, at some point, he still did feel something when he goes to cut off that push off. And then that's when he starts hopping on the other leg to avoid pressure on the right one, and he starts limping again. So, sure, I mean, yes, something had to happen there in that instance to ultimately make it.
It could have been a strain. It could have been a strain before it was a tear. And you could have rested him and not use him for the rest of that game, give him a week off or two, let the knee rest, and you might have avoided a tear. The problem is now you got to bullshit us about something you don't even have the facts. So the problem is you can't prove what you're saying. And what you're saying could be an absolute lie. And that is the truth, that what you could be saying is a lie because you can't prove the truth, Miami Dolphins training staff, coaching staff. You can't prove it. You cannot prove it. You are assuming. And let me tell you, this is what adds icing to the cake. So a guy that is coming back from a torn Achilles in the same leg, you kind of assume there was a tear, so you're going to send them back out there with a brace to completely tear it? Where is the logic in any of this? Please tell me, where is the logic, bro?
Yeah, that part would also feel pretty damning too if then they have knowledge or at least enough of a indication that it was probably already the damage was already done there. Then
does it matter?
You shouldn't be sending them out there.
You don't have knowledge. Does it matter? It's incompetence. Either way, it's incompetence. Either way, it's incompetence. If you knew he had a tear, you put a brace and send him back out there. If you don't know he has a tear, you didn't keep him out. Which one is it, bro? You were stupid in which form, which fashion? This is the part I don't understand, and I feel like I'm the only guy talking about this. Nobody's writing about this. Nobody's challenging them that way. This is what needs to be challenged. And now they're in a corner because they can't prove any of this. They can't prove any of this.
Yeah. I mean, I would like to know what proof there is, if any, and either way, like you said, it doesn't absolve them entirely in either direction because one way or another there was some misstep in the handling of this.
With Teron Armstead, he farts the wrong way. You hold him out. So why didn't you do it with an injury-prone player like Jaelan Phillips? You just signed him to the
option.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like, bro, protect yourself. Now he's gone for the rest of the season. You might have saved this season. You might have had him fresh for next year. Now here's the same leg now coming back from another injury, which doesn't allow him to strengthen the other one.
Yeah, it's tough. But, I mean, first and foremost, I think, let's sympathize with Jaelan Phillips for what he is going through because, I mean, great guy, and then he has one Achilles tear, has one season end prematurely, and then it just happens again. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just pretty tragic for one of the better dudes in the NFL.
Oh, no, dude, that's a completely different subject.
Oh, yeah.
That's a completely different subject. I feel badly for Jaylen. He's a lovable character, bro. That you root for people like this. You want him on your team. He is a character person. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing but love for the guy. I'm talking about the adults in the room. The adults were not the adults in the room, dude. They have a responsibility. And in this case, it was so mishandled that you have to protect the player from himself, dude. Okay? And in this moment, they failed to protect the player, to protect the team, to protect the contract. They failed in every way possible because there was no excuse one way or the other to continue with him playing because you didn't know where that injury was. And for you to be that stupid to put a brace and send an injury prone player back out there with a leg that was already recovering from a major surgery, I don't know what common sense is, bro. I really don't.
And I'll tell you what, if they're placing everything on the contact that he felt in saying, hey, none of it was that move that he tried to make on that knee, then you are placing a lot of blame on Jordan Poyer. Also, you're asking him to carry a lot of blame and guilt for this. So,
By the way, was there any contact when he tore his Achilles?
no.
Okay. 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 So, like I said, you can't prove shit. You can't tell me. But you know what I can prove coming from a Holiday Inn? I saw Jaylen Phillips after the first injury, and then I saw him in the second one. And I saw a guy that couldn't walk. But before I saw a guy that could walk and could run and all that. So maybe it was just strained. It was just pulled. It wasn't torn. But on that second go around, that's when I saw a guy with a torn ligament. Okay? Because if you have a torn ligament, you don't go right back in, bro.
Yeah. Now, there are stories of players finishing a game on a torn ACL. Like, what was it, Carson Wentz that did that once? I think there's other examples. So adrenaline can carry you, I know, in some cases. But then once that wears off, then yeah, you're really done.
Right. It's rough. All right. The OBJ stuff. What'd you think about it yesterday?
Yeah. Boy, yeah, he really opened up. He expressed a lot of his feelings, how he felt, and sort of gave the timeline of, there were points in the offseason where he wasn't sure if he was going to come back or not, and then maybe took a little too long. He even said it himself that he maybe did it too late when he had that knee procedure. So obviously that delayed things, but. And then as far as starting the season, of course, there was the whole debate over starting the season on PUP or starting to get back into practice. He said at that point what he was fighting for was just to have his training camp at that point, even if he wasn't maybe feeling like he could just full go for games, but because he can't practice while he's on PUP. So it is telling, though, that right when he comes back, he is full. He is a full participant in practice. It's not like he has to go through limited sessions first. He's already just jumping into full practice participation as soon as he is designated to return. And now we'll see maybe here within 30, 40 minutes when Mike McDaniel speaks if the Dolphins will activate him off PUP in a move that could be made tomorrow.
How much are you believing of that? Since, we'll go.
Which part?
We'll go with the first subject. How much of the bullshit you're believing there? Because there's a lot of bullshit going on with the Jaelan Phillips thing. How much bullshit are you feeding here? How much are you believing? Because he said, "Oh well, they knew there was a chance I wasn't going to be ready for the beginning of the season." You remember that line he said?
Right.
You believe that?
From which side of it?
From his side.
From his side that he communicated that?
Yeah, like that the Dolphins knew that there's a chance he wouldn't be ready for the season. How much do you believe in that? Because I'm not believing a damn thing about that. He was ready. He just had a setback right before. That's all.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know why he makes all this and all this drama. Well, I got so much going on in my life, and I've been through everything. And my daughter is growing up, and she's 2, and I feel like I'm missing the days of her growing up, and I gotta be with her. And I felt like pulling out the violins and all this kind of stuff and everything. And I'm like, dude, just say it. Just say it. You were running fine, and then that surgery you had a little bit of a setback with that knee, okay? And now you've had a couple of more weeks to tweak to get it back, and you're back again. That's all you got to. Not that the Dolphins knew that I may not, I wasn't going to be ready, and then all this other drama about, I got so many other things in my life and all. Oh, come on.
Yeah. Now I know you've worked your sources on this story and have been on top of a lot of things regarding.
No,
Beckham.
I'm also old and I can smell bullshit a mile away.
Bro. So this is you just smelling bullshit, not necessarily like
not on the. He was ready for the season, and then he had
right. I remember you telling me that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, because I said two things, right? I said the center would start, and OBJ would play, right? Everybody forgets the center part because the center wasn't practicing either, just like Walker wasn't seen for like 7 years, and then he appears and he starts to play. You know what I'm saying? So he was going to play, just like I reported the center would play too. The center did play. OBJ had the setback. But that's basically what it is. It's not like, the Dolphins knew that there was a chance I wouldn't be ready. Bro, you were running fine, man. Give me a break. I mean, it's just... I think there's just too much drama and sensationalism for no reason whatsoever.
Yeah.
That's why I asked you, how much do you believe of that? Because I think there was also didn't he put out a post or something like he really wanted to play at the beginning of the year or something? Remember there was something like that?
I remember him putting out stuff about just proving that he's working out when he was being accused of not working.
I'm with him on that one.
Yeah,
I'm with him on that one. He is working, dude. The dude had a setback. It happens, bro. He's got a knee that's bad. What are you gonna do? That's the game. For him.
Yeah, I will say, and I don't know whether he did or did not, but when someone does have a setback, I feel like there is it won't just get put out there. But yeah, you always hear from McDaniel. Well, someone has had no setbacks, but if you don't hear that, then I feel like maybe there was one, but he would never say it outright.
Right. Yeah. And if you've noticed one thing, they don't like to talk about injuries. They stay away from that shit as much. Yeah, but I mean, you'll get some stuff from other teams, but this team specifically really clamps down on injuries. They really don't like to talk about people's personal shit when it comes to the injury side. And I can understand that.
Right. Which may be one of the things that players like in when the NFL PA poll, where the Dolphins ranked number 1 this year as far as how they treat players. That could be something that players are counting on. Is they don't put my shit out there the way other teams might just openly do. Only to the limitations of what they have to report on the injury report, which the NFL mandates for gambling purposes.
Yeah. Speaking of injuries. Who plays? Who doesn't? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm optimistic about like guys like Raheem Mostert and David Long. Obviously, they've missed time, but I know I was talking to David Long this week in the locker room, and he feels like he's ready to go. Now, and obviously, these guys are gamers. Like, sometimes they're out in front of what their true timeline is because they just really want to get out there and fight through anything. But I know Raheem has been trying to for the last couple of weeks, and so. I think this has got to be the one where he finally does, and he is able to pull through. I know it hurt David Long not to get to face the Titans, his former team. Jordan Poyer, I would lean. He can't play right now. He hasn't practiced this week on the shin injury. Maybe we hear something different from Mike McDaniel in about a half an hour right behind me. But I would lean to say that he probably can't if he hasn't been practicing this week.
So you're going to ask him about any follow-ups on the Phillips stuff?
I'm wondering now. I mean, I had like a series of questions because there's a lot of like little news and nuggets to get to and stuff that I'm writing like about replacing Jaylen Phillips on the edge. But this conversation has had me wondering if so and what exactly I would ask if I did. So, I may use a few minutes to debate that internally.
Well, Coach, considering his injury history, and he had a current injury, major injury that he was coming back from, a repaired Achilles. In that first injury with the knee, you really don't know if there's a tear why would you take a risk and send a player who has had injury history and recovering from a current injury back in to the game and have to maybe overcompensate, which may have led to this tear? See what he
Yeah.
said. See what he said.
I was wondering if you would treat it like, well, I've already answered for that. This is what I've received from the doctors.
That's not what you asked him. You asked him, why would you send somebody back in when you really didn't know if there was a tear at that moment? And with his current injury history, including in that same leg, the Achilles, why would you risk that? And was it worth it? And
Yeah.
you know,
I think in that case, and now I'm pretending like I'm playing the role of Mike McDaniel, and I'm fielding this question. See, I think he would just go back to, well, we communicate with trainers and doctors, and they basically tell me if he can go or he can't. So the word I received was that you can put him back in the game, is what I would imagine. But it would be interesting to see.
In hindsight, Coach, that seemed like a good decision considering the injury history. Follow up. I mean, just follow up.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
that he has also sort of answered in just saying you never want to take opportunities away from a player when they want to go back out there. But
no, that's where that he's got to be the adult in the room. He's got to protect the player.
Back to your point on that, correct? Yeah,
yeah. You don't get away with that, bro. You don't get away with that. It just doesn't seem like it was a responsible move one way or the other after he bangs that knee up to send him back out there with a brace. It just, bro, I don't know. It really just doesn't make any sense. By the way, will they arrest Deion Sanders for child neglect?
For child neglect? Why? For pushing the Dolphins thing?
Yeah, pushing
on Shador.
I know Shador's an adult. I understand, but child services might say, no, wait a minute. Hold on a second. You're now his coach, and you're sending him. You want him to the Dolphins. We're arresting you for child neglect. I mean, seriously. I mean that. I thought Deion was a good father up until this point. I mean, seriously, come on.
Who would wish that on their child? Huh?
Exactly. Who's wishing? He coached McDaniel too. Does he want that also? I mean, Shador will end up in a rubber room. The poor kid.
Now,
by the way, you did a shit job of acting like Mike McDaniel there because there was no ums and uhs. So,
and often I do speak that same way too, but you guys give him too much of a hard time on that, man. I mean, the guy, he wants to give good answers. He wants to be thoughtful. I know, because I do the same thing sometimes. It's like you start a thought, but then you think of a better way to express how you're saying. So you just pause and he's genuinely trying to give the best answer he can up there. So I always appreciate him for how he answers our questions.
No, he's genuinely trying to craft the right answer. Not really answer the question, but craft the right answer for you guys. That's what
and there's filibustering involved in it. Yes, we know. So.
Yeah, exactly. And he has to kind of think about it. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's year 3, bro. The questions don't change that much. It's, I've been doing it for 34 years. It's kind of a cycle. It all comes back over and over and over again. You know what I mean? It's like, once you've lived it, you live it over. And it's like there's a groundhog effect to it, So I don't know. It's just kind of funny. All right. What do you got going on the Sentinel? So our folks can check you out, my friend.
Yeah, writing the news comes out today, availability for Patriots game for different players, and also just how the Dolphins plan to replace Jaelan Phillips. It's going to be tough with a lot of young edge rushers. Emmanuel Ogbah is now all of a sudden the leader in your group, while you still don't have Bradley Chubb. Rookies Chop Robinson and Mo Camara, they have to develop rather quickly here. You have Quentin Bell, so a lot of guys need to step up. They just added Tyus Bowser to the roster. So that and yesterday I wrote about Odell Beckham Jr. and how Tyler Snoop Huntley can stand to improve in a second start in this McDaniel offense.
Any truth that they're calling Ogba TT?
Ogba TT, what?
Thunder thighs.
Thunder thighs. Oh. Yeah, Ryan Crow, outside linebackers coach, he cracked me up on it. He was like, yeah, and then he was in the right place, good hands or good thighs. He was answering the question. So, great play by him. They call him Og a lot now. I don't think they were doing that before. I think they were calling him E-Man before, but I'm hearing Og a lot now. Maybe this new coach.
I'm hearing Thunder for short.
All right.
I'm just saying, is it for your play? No, it's for my thighs. I'm just throwing it out there. Follow him on Twitter at David Furones _ there on Twitter or X or whatever the hell Elon's calling that shit now. And of course, catch his work there at the South Florida Sun Sentinel. Better yet, subscribe. Have a great weekend, my friend. We will talk on postgame.
Yes, sir. Sounds good. Thank you.
You got it. The great David Furones, Welt Rheaume 954-966-4646.